It is midday, April 30th here in Draft Shark Studios East for NFL Draft Weekend. And of course, if you're a draft shark, what are you going to be doing in between the first round and the second round of the NFL Draft? You're going to be drafting, and that's what we're doing right now. I'm Matt Schauf. I'm here with Mike Shope and Adam Krautwurst. We are doing an FFPC Best Ball Draft Live. We're dealing with the draft room kind of sorting out its kinks at the moment, but we're a little bit more than halfway through round one. All three of us are drafting. Kevin English is drafting with us. We know some of the other drafters in the room. We'll try to share the picks. We'll see if it works technically. But I started off this draft with the first pick, Christian McCaffrey. Mike, you're picking 7 in this draft. Who did you take to get going?
Hey, Matt, I went with Jonathan Taylor. For no reason I'm really sure of, I'm sort of avoiding Derrick Henry. I guess I've been doing that for a few years running and just kind of think eventually I'll be right, but it hasn't happened yet. Just I'll take Taylor over Henry because I feel just more confident in his, not running out of gas, I guess. All else equal.
Is Jonathan Taylor who you're going to consistently take in that spot, or are you alternating between him and anybody else?
I was prepared to take Akers at 7, partly because we have a history with Akers in this group. So I would have taken Akers over Henry, but Taylor slipped. I'm pretty sure the guy ahead of me didn't make his pick willingly with Michael Thomas. It looks like an error. Yeah, Michael Thomas, although I wonder if Michael Thomas comes up that early in the ADP that kind of controls it if you don't make your pick on time. So maybe he was cued by that player, and maybe that is a Michael Thomas lover. That would be a story.
Adam, you're at 9 in this draft, so you're going to be coming up at pick 4 in round 2. Who got you started here?
Yeah, I took Zeke Elliott. He was kind of the last of the running backs there that I was looking at. So I'm really excited that I got him because I don't like going receiver early in best balls. So I'm glad that I got Zeke, and hopefully the guy I'm looking for falls to me in the second here.
We'll be curious to see if the guy you're looking for, because I don't even know who it is. I'm upstairs in the house. Adam's downstairs, so he's keeping the secrets to himself and trying not to let Kevin sneak over his shoulder and see who he's about to pick, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm fighting him off over here.
How about the status of the two Packers? Not to give each other's clues away here, but there are Jones and Adams might have changed last night. Their values might have changed last night.
There's definitely potential impact. I think there's room for people to alter their plans for those two guys. I'm going to draft as though Aaron Rodgers is on the team right now because it sounds like teams were calling the Packers saying, hey, what's it going to take to get Aaron Rodgers? And the Packers are saying it's going to take the entire front office dying because he's not going anywhere no matter how he feels about staying.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think it really affects Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry, Aaron Jones either way. Adams, if he does leave, it affects him greatly. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere, but we'll see. Adams is slipping a little bit here in ADP, so maybe I'll just keep talking him down so he falls to me in 2 picks.
Yeah, Mike, I saw people saying yesterday that the Packers don't really have leverage here because Aaron Rodgers can just sit out. But to me, Aaron Rodgers is also lacking some leverage because the Packers can just say, fine, if you're not going to play, we drafted your replacement last year. So, do whatever you want. Yeah,
that's right. Love means incredibly didn't even take a snap for them, wasn't even the backup for them. But after last night it seemed like there were options, or there might have been, the Denver rumors and before that San Francisco. But now I don't know. Like the Raiders, I mean, is that maybe the only possibility? I don't know what happens now. I don't know where. Rodgers may have to choose between the Packers or hosting Jeopardy or not playing. It doesn't feel like there are two. The options for last night have diminished, and it definitely matters when it comes to Adams. Maybe Rodgers plays. Maybe he's at the point of his career where he doesn't need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to get in on the mindset there. Obviously, we can only watch it from outside and see what happens. I would think that if they were going to trade him, they probably would have gotten their best offer last night before some of these quarterback-needy teams landed their quarterback and don't need Aaron Rodgers so much anymore. Matthew Stafford brought back a pretty good haul this offseason, so I have a hard time believing that there wasn't a team willing to give something similar for Aaron Rodgers. I know he's a little bit older than Matthew Stafford, but I mean, you have to assume that they have a similar amount of time left if Aaron Rodgers wants to play that long.
Yeah, so I took Adams in the second round. I took him as the wide receiver 3, which is, I think he's been consensus wide receiver 1, I think. So I'll take that little dip, and hopefully Rodgers comes back or stays and everything works itself out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's with Michael Thomas as wide receiver 1, though, by the way.
That's true.
But yes.
Yeah, that is true.
And Davante Adams going around 2 is certainly something that wasn't happening before there was questions about Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see what happens as we get a little bit further past the reports on this. Looking at this draft too, just to see how things are going, because people probably care a little bit more about that than they do about what we think about Aaron Rodgers. George Kittle going at 208 in this draft is pretty late for an FFPC draft. He and Darren Waller have been following Travis Kelce in round 1 ADP to this point. Does that surprise you at all, Mike?
Not really. I don't know the players maybe as well as you guys do in this group, but I mean, San Francisco is, of course, a team that drafted a rookie, and so there's uncertainty there about what that will look like, and that might be all of it. For me, I wanted to have a 2 running back start, and Chubb was on a tier above the other options for me there. So Swift would have been a close call, but Chubb over Kittle was easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Chubb I like more than Kittle. I think it's one of those things where you get one of the top 3 tight ends, and then or do you wait? So it looks like you'll be waiting like the rest of us, unless you want to jump up and take your guy who now has a team, the Atlanta Falcons. So we will see how that works out.
And I'm on the clock here at the turn. I had to refresh the draft room, but now I'm back, ready to take some players.
He's back.
It's kind of tough for me to pass on running back at this turn, but I think I'm going to have to double up on wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, both making it to the end of round 2, the 2-3 turn. I'm not sure if both of them are going to deliver on their promise, but the way that they each played last year, I'm certainly willing to bet that one of the two is tremendous at the very least on a week-to-week basis for best ball purposes this season. And quite possibly they both deliver big time. A.J. Brown, we'll see if the Titans go a little bit more toward the pass. I don't think they're going to go pass heavy because all they did was promote from within to replace Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator. But, we'll see if maybe they throw the ball a little bit more. And either way, A.J. Brown's set up to dominate targets in that offense. So I feel pretty good about A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson at the 2-3 turn. It was tough for me to pass on the running backs at that spot, though.
Yeah. Who would you have taken, Matt, if would you like Brown over Jefferson, or what would you like if it was earlier in the second you had to choose?
I do like A.J. Brown better than Justin Jefferson. It's close, though. They're the kind of players that if I'm drafting 5 times, I'm not taking the same guy 5 times, and it's probably 3 for one and 2 for the other. Justin Jefferson, I honestly don't know. Was last year the beginning of what's going to be a special career, or was it like this season went as well as it possibly could have from week 3 on, and he's bound to see, some slight regression this year? Maybe it's a healthier Adam Thielen. Maybe, they just spread it around a little bit more and things just don't work out quite as well for him. Either way, I think he's going to have to fall significantly to disappoint at that level. And I don't expect, a truly, a true slump season from him in year 2.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot. Yeah, he's going to get the volume there too, for sure.
I like that PFF likes him, Adam. That's enough for me.
Listen, if that works for you, that works for me.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot to dislike about Justin Jefferson last year. Let's talk about who you guys picked in round 2 as well. Adam, did you end up getting the guy that you were hoping would make it to you at 204? Was that Davante Adams?
It wasn't. I'm trying to think. I've already moved on. I'm trying to think of who it was. Aaron Jones. I was hoping for Aaron Jones, actually. Yep. So, there were Adams was the best player available to me. But again, I was hoping to snag one of these running backs in the 3rd round. So I was hoping to get Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, or Edwards-Helaire, but they just went 3 in a row here. So, hindsight, maybe I should have been running back in the 2nd.
And so Aaron Jones went at the top of round 2. Then it was Darren Waller. Then it was DeAndre Swift. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb to Mike's team, DeAndre Hopkins, George Kittle, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Justin Jefferson. Mike, are you surprised to see Josh Jacobs get into round 2 with, the questions that Kenyan Drake signing brings to Las Vegas?
Yes. I think I would have taken Harris above the 3 running backs picked before him, Edwards-Helaire, Dobbins, and Gibson. I think I would have taken Harris above all those guys, and Sanders. I mean, it was, of course, widely expected what happened last night, but you got to love it. I think he's the clear one quarterback rookie 101 after last night. I don't see how that, changes. There was a lot of different possibilities. Unless you like Pitts that much or Chase that much, I feel like, at least Harris versus Etienne got cleared up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I liked Etienne a little bit better. They were close already as prospects, but with Najee Harris going to a team that clearly wants to give him a dominant workload and Travis Etienne going to a team that has multiple running backs in play, I think it's pretty clearly Najee Harris now. Interesting that that's brought up because Adam just took Travis Etienne at 309, his third pick. Adam, how are you feeling about Travis Etienne in Jacksonville?
I don't love it, but Smola's got me thinking Alvin Kamara type stuff over here. So, I'm thinking 12 carries, maybe 6 targets a game. They obviously like him there. They have a fine running back in James Robinson that they just drafted another guy over in the first round. So, they clearly like him a lot. We'll see where his ADP kind of levels out towards the summer, but I needed a running back horribly, and so I took Etienne.
I think that the talent comp with Alvin Kamara definitely makes sense. The problem for me with Travis Etienne in Jacksonville is Alvin Kamara has been in a New Orleans offense that has not had a whole lot in terms of threatening pass catchers beyond Michael Thomas. It's Thomas, Kamara, Emmanuel Sanders was there for a little bit. Jared Cook was masquerading as a pass-catching threat there. But otherwise, they've been a little light on wide receivers for a little while. So there were targets available in an efficient offense. Jacksonville's got DJ Chark. They've got Laviska Shenault. They added Marvin Jones this offseason. They signed some other lower-level wide receivers. They signed Carlos Hyde. So the ball is going to be getting passed around. I certainly think Travis Etienne is the highest ceiling performer, talent in that backfield, but I'm not sure that – I don't know. I'm not sure what the ceiling is just from a production standpoint.
I think after tonight, he'll be no better than rookie running back 4. Miami and the Jets, to me, are 2 teams that I would almost guarantee are in the running back market tonight. Now, there's not a deep crop. Last year was a much better crop. But Javonte Williams is going to be one of them, and then I would guess Gainwell or Carter, one of those guys, just lands right the way Gibson did. Maybe that's not the best example, but I think that's compromised. Robinson is worth something to the Jaguars. A lot of people thought he wouldn't just be the clear bell cow again, but he's got to be worth something to them. Urban Meyer today talked about Etienne as a third down back. Eventually he'll win out, but I wouldn't touch him right now. I wouldn't touch him.
So that was an interesting quote from Urban Meyer. He said, I think that he conceded that their plan is developing. And it's April, the end of April. So I'm sure that that's the case. He hasn't even seen these players live on field in a practice for the Jaguars yet. So, he did say, I see James and I see Carlos Hyde as first and second downhill runners, and Travis Etienne is at least a third down back who's a matchup nightmare. Now, for me, if a team drafts a running back in round 1 and his coach is talking about him as a matchup nightmare, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear them talking about how he's going to get the ball a ton, we love him, and he upgrades our offense. So I definitely agree on that point. I think we're going to have to see this summer what further reports are saying about roles, but I agree. It's tough to get, as you're projecting it now, it's tough to get more than 150 carries for Travis Etienne, which hurts.
I hate the pick for Jacksonville. They're bad everywhere. What are you doing drafting a running back in the first round after drafting Trevor Lawrence when you're bad everywhere? I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was really sort of a arrogant kind of pick.
Yeah, they should have taken an offensive tackle, but they can still get an offensive tackle here. They got the first pick in the second round, so there's still a couple good tackles there. And Mike, I was going to tell you to hush for a second because I was waiting on Javonte Williams to fall to me here. Up like crazy over there.
Well, you guys are more experienced than me at drafting and broadcasting at the same time. I haven't
No,
done a lot of that.
you did the right thing.
I'm a broadcaster first. I'm a broadcaster first. For $35, the show comes first.
That's right. That's right. So exactly what you said. I think Javonte Williams is going to land in a real nice spot today, and to get him in the fourth round. I like him in the fourth better than I like Etienne in the third. But I was thinking, I wanted Javonte more than Etienne, but I thought I could wait. And he fell into my lap in the fourth, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, he's in great position to be Atlanta's pick early in round 2. It would not be at all surprised if he goes there, and that would be at least as good a landing spot as Najee Harris in Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah.
So Adam did get his guy, Javonte Williams. Before that, in round 3, we had A.J. Brown, of course, to me, I mentioned, J.K. Dobbins, D.K. Metcalf right after that, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Travis Etienne, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb to close out round 3. The running backs that I was considering at that last turn were Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, maybe CEH, but I think it would have taken either of the other two, and it probably would have been Najee Harris among them. So that was a little bit of the dilemma. Do I take a young wide receiver that I know is good, or do I take the running back I expect to get a bunch of touches for an offense that should be good, but I don't know for sure about yet? We'll see if I come to regret that over these next few picks, seeing what is there for me at running back. Certainly starting with Christian McCaffrey is a big help. Round 4 has started with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen at 1-2 as the first 2 quarterbacks off the board. Amari Cooper, Javonte Williams to Adam's team, Chris Carson, Mark Andrews, and now Chase Edmonds at 407. So, Adam, are you feeling pretty good about having both Etienne and Javonte Williams, expecting at least one of them to hit for you this year?
Exactly. Yeah, I expect Javonte right now I like a little bit better, even though I don't even know where he's landing. But if he goes to Atlanta or even the Jets or something like that, or maybe even Miami, I like him a lot. Etienne, I don't know how to take that yet. Again, if he can catch a ton of passes over there, we don't know what type of offense they're going to roll out. But I like my 3 running backs to start. Upside, 2 guys with big upside. Zeke, if he can, get back to form. I like my 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds here.
I think this is the first draft yet where I've been, gasping to see David Montgomery go off the board before my pick. I was hoping that he was going to make it to 412. I would have felt good about that, but he did just leave the board at 408. So probably not going to be a running back for me this turn, and then we're going to see where things go from there.
I noticed that too. Montgomery, just what does he got to do, right? Their offense, you might want to be just as optimistic. I know you're off Damian Williams, or just not interested in Damian Williams having any sort of meaningful place in that backfield. We've talked about that. So, what did Montgomery rank last year? Top 5, 6? Where was he? Somewhere in there, right, for the year?
He finished 6th or 8th, something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of that's the same. The quarterback will be different, but not worse.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't mind that Montgomery pick at all, for sure. And then I keep seeing Julio go here. So Vooch, my buddy Sam Gallo took Julio Jones at the 410. I keep seeing him go in the late 4th, early 5th. Are we do we like that pick? I like Julio there.
Yeah, I was hoping that he was going to get to 12 once David Montgomery left, so he didn't. That's why I fell a little silent for a second there, trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm going Kyler Murray because I don't love what's next at the other positions, so I figure I might as well take high upside at quarterback at that spot, and then I'll fill in the gaps in the other positions later on. Now I got to decide what's going to be the next pick. Mike, how do you feel about your pick back in round 4?
Well, Andrews is one of my favorites. I'm still optimistic about Baltimore, Jackson, Andrews, the whole thing. I like the Bateman pick last night. Andrews has proven a lot. Tight end premium. I thought about Pitts there too, but I have Ridley. So I will take my chances with Andrews there. I think the drop-off is pretty much next. Hawkinson is interesting, but I always like Andrews. So Montgomery would have been interesting to do. 3 running backs like that, and then cross your fingers on tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about who are we talking about here? I lost my train of thought there on Hawkinson. I thought about Hawkinson at the 4-5 turn right there, but I didn't pull the trigger. Decided to go with Kareem Hunt around the turn at 501. I mean, running back's going to get ugly pretty soon. I can't say that I love Kareem Hunt at that point. If Nick Chubb gets hurt, obviously Kareem Hunt takes a big jump. But when Nick Chubb was healthy, and even late in the year, Kareem Hunt's work fell off a little bit. So, I mean, he's okay. So there's a nice week-to-week ceiling, but I think this is probably the range where Kareem Hunt belongs, as opposed to being a player that excites me in this round.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, we all know it, that the running back cliff that you get to around here or even a little earlier is sort of it's what you're used to.
Following that Mark Andrews pick, we did have Chase Edmonds go at 407, as I said, David Montgomery at 408, Mike Evans at 409, Julio Jones at 410, Chris Godwin at 411. So, I mean, once I saw Montgomery go, those next three picks are probably the three guys that I would have taken at one of those spots at the 4 or 5 turn. I probably would have been Kyler Murray and one of those receivers. They all went. So scramble a little bit, but again, I think Kareem Hunt's okay. I did take Kyler Murray, Kareem Hunt around the 4 or 5 turn. Now we're into round 5. Dak Prescott just went off the board. A healthy Dak Prescott is right there with Kyler Murray for me. I think at the moment I'm gonna have to wait until the summer to see that Dak Prescott is back to that level after the ankle injury. Not that I'm doubting he's going to produce this year, but, just a mobile guy coming off the ankle injury. I want to make sure that things are fine before I have him quite that.
Yeah, I like Prescott this year for sure. I liked him last year. He's got top 3 upside. But so does Kyler Murray. But I love the weapons in Dallas, and I just think that they're gonna kind of pick up where they left off before he got hurt. Kev Dog here with the Kyle Pitts pick at 504. How do we feel, Mike? How do you feel about that? Is he?
I feel like it's fine.
Did he fall a little too far for you, or what?
I don't mind it at all. I think Andrews, Pitts, Hawkinson. Why not? Like I think Hawkinson is good value right now, but. I mean, you could take that chance on Pitts. You could try to win this thing, and he could be tight end, top 3 tight end. I mean, he's talked about as the most amazing thing ever to happen at the position. I'm not sure if I'm up or not because I'm frozen on the site. The site's been tough today.
Yeah, it's been tough.
It is a year.
It's double paw.
Actually, right now.
I can't access it, so that's not great.
We're at 506. 506 just picked. It was Leonard Fournette. Now we're at 507, which is Mike's
That's
pick.
me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I want Jackson, but I can't get in there.
Oh boy, he'll be there on your next pick, Mike. Don't worry about it. Actually, I can't get in there now either. My gosh, where is? Oh, I'm back in.
So we did have, after Dak Prescott, Melvin Gordon went at 503, Kyle Pitts to Kevin at 504, as the guys mentioned, DJ Moore at 505. Kyle Pitts, I considered around the turn. I'm just not ready to make that call yet. I don't know, especially with TJ Hawkinson. Dallas Goedert's still on the board. I'm not sure that I see a higher ceiling for Pitts this season than those guys, and knowing that I could wait a little bit and still have shots at him and still be fine even if I miss them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kyle Pitts just proves to be that good right away. But I don't know. I guess I'm waiting to see on a position that's traditionally disappointing in that first season.
Yeah, so Mike got Lamar. How did you feel about that?
Are you talking to Matt?
No, it's you.
And you. No, you.
I love it. Yeah, he's my favorite player in the league. I love it.
Yeah, and it's especially a nice stack, I think, with Mark Andrews. And, I mean, it's not late. It's round 5, but late enough for Lamar Jackson, who has showed us that he has the upside to be the dominant number 1 fantasy quarterback in a given season, especially now that he's got a wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, in the first round of the draft. That can only help him.
I like that, too. They still have not really changed enough, apparently, about their offense. The coordinator's the same. They tried at wide receiver in free agency. They came down with Sammy Watkins, but they were in on Galladay. They were in on Juju, right? There was someone else too. Like they tried, but this Bateman is nice. And last year was what Jackson is with the worst circumstances. The lack of receiver talent, the COVID factor. Just it was a tough year for him, and there were no amazing smash games, or very few of them, after a year where he only delivered them. I just think I'd expect his production to go up. I think he's great.
Yeah, I think T.Y. Hilton was another one that they tried to sign before he went back to the Colts. Adam just took another rookie. He's going rookie mad here. Jamar Chase in round 5. Adam, are you trying to recapture some youth in your old age?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love Jamar Chase. I love the landing spot. I want them to go offensive tackle in the second round here to protect Joe Burrow and then just sling it all over the yard. So I'm hoping to get – hopefully nobody's listening, but I'm hoping to get T. Higgins on this next pick here, get this nice little stack working. But yeah, no, I like him. I just don't know that how the targets are going to be divvied up, which is why in best ball I don't mind taking a shot on him in the 5th round for the spike weeks. And hopefully I can get T. Higgins here so that it doesn't matter. And yeah, no, I love Chase.
Matt, when we did one of these together early in the offseason, didn't Adam take like 6 rookies?
Probably.
Yes. Yep. I had the I had Chase, and I think I had the Burrow Higgins deck or something. I don't remember, but yeah, no, I like to get value on these rookies. You know what I mean?
Sunday will be a great day to look up all these boards that we've been doing. Like, who did we pick? Which of the rookies did we take our chances on, and where did they end up? I haven't done any of that yet, but tonight's a great night for that being all sorted out.
Yep.
Who was the explorer that was always chasing the Fountain of Youth? Is that Ponce de Leon?
Yes.
Are we going with? Would just go with Ponce Krautwurst, or is
Ponce
he,
de Krautwurst? It's right.
Kraut de Leon.
Kraut de Leon. I love it.
That's the off-season version that we get from Adam. So you got to love knowing the plan going in. It certainly makes it easier to draft with you because I know that if I'm looking at a rookie or a veteran, I can count on the veteran getting back to me in my next turn.
Exactly. I don't want these old timers. Let's get this young blood out here, okay?
Just make sure you don't say any of your plans too loud with Kevin sitting close to you, ready to snipe.
Oh boy, he's over there sniping. Look at him. He's got his hands in the air like he just scored a touchdown over there.
Look at him.
It's unbelievable.
Let's check in on Kevin's team real quick because I haven't really tracked it beyond the Kyle Pitts selection.
You already know he's got Joe Mixon. You don't even got to look.
Was that him make that pick? Yeah, he also took Mike Evans at 409. Let's see if I can check the draft board. Couldn't get the draft board working well enough to share in the view for anybody following along on video. But
well, for people who can't follow along, I just got the T. Higgins Jamar Chase stack locked.
Oh, look out.
Pack up my briefcase and leave. We're done.
Now you just need to draft a knee ligament for Joe Burrow in round 9.
Oh, man, maybe he's the next pick. Watch out.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of committing to that at this point. And then I'm guessing round 18 is CJ Uzama territory for you.
Just out of curiosity, did it draft T. Higgins for me? Because I clicked draft and it's just not doing anything.
My screen still has you on the clock, so I'm not even sure yet.
Same.
Oh, no. I'm refreshing. Hopefully that'll.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. We have confirmation. It's T. Higgins to Adam's team. All the young Bengals wideouts to Adam, which, I mean, to be fair, betting on Bengals is always a good bet.
Yeah.
So after that, James Robinson is going to be a funny name to look at in draft rooms for a little while because ADP is going to have him at the 2-3 turn or sometime in round 3 for a while. He's not going to be going in that range for long. So he's one of those that some teams are going to be getting by accident because they accidentally time out, and then James Robinson goes there. And we're all going to be staring at him wondering when the right time is to take him. I don't know, Mike, do you have an early take on when you would be okay with drafting James Robinson?
No, I mean, today is a new day for that question. And has he gone yet?
He's still on the board. He's
Wow.
the 33rd player. He's got an ADP of 36.6, so that's right at the end of round 3. But, I mean, I'll be surprised if he goes before the end of round 6.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to figure out because they've invested in Etienne, and he was such a spectacular college player. Jacksonville, starting today, they're going to tell you Robinson matters. Just like they told you last week that he was their number 1 running back, whatever. It just doesn't mean anything. So the presumption will be that Etienne will have a significant role. They also have Chark and Chenault, and they have like a pretty good group of skill guys where if they cut into Robinson significantly, which you'd probably expect, where does that leave him? I don't know. Like around the Buffalo guys, does that put him? Oh man, it's tough. It's just it was the worst case scenario for his dynasty managers.
Yeah, it was kind of the worst case scenario for both James Robinson and Travis Etienne in terms of fantasy outlook. And the other factor here is that it's a new staff in Jacksonville. They don't have anything invested in James Robinson. They saw what he did last year, and then they signed Carlos Hyde, and then they drafted Travis Etienne. So they looked at it and said, James Robinson's fine, but we can improve that area.
Robinson was such a great story. And then, you wanted to see him rank this year and for this to not happen. But it just in Buffalo, we had Fred Jackson, who wasn't drafted, and he was really good. And all the Bills ever did was try to draft somebody they thought would be better than Fred Jackson. And they usually failed. They spent numerous high picks on running backs thinking that the guy they had wasn't good enough because they didn't draft him. And that was different coaches too. So I think maybe that sort of, Jackson had a long career. He kept proving himself every year. We'll see if Robinson gets the chance.
Yeah, some teams just don't know when they, luck into something. They lucked into James Robinson. Not lucked into it, but, he's a fine running back in the NFL. Now you don't have to spend picks on running backs. And they went ahead and did it anyways. I mean, imagine them adding an offensive lineman and then another offensive lineman in the second round. I mean, they'd be able to protect Trevor Lawrence. They've got some receivers there already, and LaVisca and DJ, and it's I don't know. I think it was a wasted pick, and I would have liked to see Etienne somewhere else, but whatever.
We did have James Robinson go, by the way, right before the end of round 6'11". He went right before my pick. So, we'll see whether that's somebody that the owner in that spot actually really liked, or if it was just, I don't know what else to take. Might as well take a shot on James Robinson here. Right after that, honestly, I was kind of searching a little bit. I ended up going for a couple of upside wideouts at the 6-7 turn. So actually, before we get to my picks, let's recap what happened before that. We mentioned Jamar Chase going to Adam. There was a QB run in round 5 after Kyler Murray. It was Murray, then Dak Prescott at 502. Then later in the round, we had Lamar Jackson to Mike's team. Russell Wilson, the pick after that. Justin Herbert went early in round 6. From the start of round 6, we had Dallas Goedert, Deontay Johnson, Justin Herbert, T. Higgins to Adam's team, Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, Noah Fant, who probably would have been one of my picks at the 6-7 turn if he'd made it to me, Robert Woods, Aaron Rodgers, Adam Thielen, James Robinson. Then I took Odell Beckham, DJ Chark. I figure at least one of those two guys has a high enough ceiling for me. And even if neither one hits on a full season basis, they both have week winning potential individually. At 6-7 turn, I feel comfy betting on Beckham's knee and also DJ Chark rebounding now that he has a quarterback.
Yeah, I like Chark. I think I took that other draft you guys were talking about. I think I took Chark and Trevor Lawrence in that one too, a little stack. But yeah, I like Chark. I think, maybe hopefully this year he has the year he was supposed to have last year. He's got a legit franchise QB on his side now, and hopefully they can work it out. But I think Chark's very very talented.
Mike, while we have you, this is not anything that's going to help anybody in this draft. And actually, I'll wait until after the pick to ask you the question because I don't want to distract you from on the clock with a totally unrelated question. But I'll be curious to know what the early Buffalo reaction is to the pick. I know what Adam's early reaction was watching Gregory Rousseau come off the clock, but I think Adam's even come around to it a little bit since the initial reaction to the pick. Is that right, Adam? Or are you still uncomfy with Gregory Rousseau?
Yeah, it's one of those things where there was some other guys there that I kind of liked better for him. The linebacker out of Notre Dame, but one of those things where as a fan, you start to watch the highlights and you hope and you wish and you have all these hopes and dreams for him. But I don't think he's angry enough, to play defensive line. I need a guy that's a little bit tougher than that. But we'll see.
Definitely too many smiles for a pass rusher. Right?
Too many smiles. Way too many smiles.
There should be fewer smiles per camera second. That needs to be a new stat that we track. We want a guy that sneers like James Harrison when he's being interviewed, that yells out profanities like Takk McKinley. Although, Adam, maybe the flip side is Takk McKinley. I mean, he was cussing on national TV after he got drafted, and he has been garbage since entering the league.
That is true.
I don't have an answer for you yet on what the the fan reaction is. I haven't had a minute to really take that in, but I mean, it's the draft. How upset do you ever want to be?
Right.
Like, I think there are times like the Etienne pick by the Jaguars where it just doesn't really make sense. There's no saying that here. You might not like something about the player, but it's the plus. I mean, it was considered a need relatively, and it's the kind of team where there just isn't. It's not easy to figure out a way to screw it up. I mean, they have such a complete team. So with personality types and different other, factors or aspects in a player's game and in their makeup, it just changes a lot. And the Bills have shown to be willing to take chances on guys where they think there's a really high ceiling. They haven't always hit, especially on defense, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get too worked up about a 30th overall pick on defense. Like, it's just too risky to ever talk with any confidence about how it'll go.
Oh, sure. And I agree with you. Buffalo was well positioned to basically take whatever they wanted to, whatever player they liked best. There was not a glaring need, but I do think that edge rusher was a spot where they could use some reinforcements, because even the guys who are at the top of the depth chart are getting a little old there. And they're also a team that even if they take a prospect that I don't like as much as the next guy, Sean McDermott's been doing this forever. He's been working with Leslie Frazier, who's been doing it forever. Eric Washington, their D-line coach, has been doing his thing forever and has been with those guys for a while. So, I mean, if they pick out a particular edge rusher, I'm not going to say you guys are idiots. You should have taken this guy. I'm going to say, I guess we'll see what they do with this player. And he's certainly set up in a spot to succeed more so than he might have been elsewhere.
I do like corner for them in this draft, and there were options there. Asante Samuel and Syracuse player Mel Fonway. Like, there are options, but it's still only the end of round one. And I would think that they get somebody, maybe two guys in that role before the draft is over. So I think in the league now you can't have enough DBs. You're gonna improve your sack totals by covering better. If you play Patrick Mahomes every week, no matter who your pass rush is, you're not going to have many sacks. Your schedule is your sack total, who the quarterback is, and then also can you stay with their receivers. And against Kansas City, that's the ball game. When the Bills could not do that in 2 to 3 seconds per play last year, they got smoked.
All right, so I'm sure everybody's saying shut up about defensive players now. We're looking for a fantasy draft. Adam, in case anybody was wondering, did take Joe Burrow, telegraphed it. Nobody jumped in to stop him from it. It's the entire league saying, go ahead, Adam, beat us with Bengals.
Yeah, Kevin thought about it, but there's a salt and pepper shaker here that I chucked at him across the room. But no, I was hoping to just get Burrow and then just slide Boyd in there in the 8th round and just go crazy. But I love being able to get that stack. I think it's a stack you'll probably be able to get all off season if you want it. But yeah, no, that'll be exciting. If I'm gonna take Chase and Higgins, I have to take the quarterback, right? That just makes sense. So hopefully they can get it right. Hopefully their defense will be awful and they're playing behind every game, and they can put up some fantasy points for me. And then of course, Team Hogo just snipes Irv Smith from me. So now I got to figure something out here.
So that's an interesting higher level question for best ball strategy. If you do take those two wideouts, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, do you make sure to take their quarterback, or did you already take his top 2 receivers as the bet on Joe Burrow and maybe hedge on that a little bit by not taking the quarterback, just taking the weeks that they give you, avoiding the chance that he's not all the way back with the knee and he disappoints some, and maybe just lean away from it? I think certainly if it's a tournament style setup, if it's like a GPP type of tournament, then you go ahead and take the quarterback. You say, I'm just going to take a shot that these guys at least explode for half of the weeks this year. Here, I think there's room to do it either way.
Yeah, I think in tournaments it's more important to stack your receivers and quarterback, because there's statistics out there that show that's the best way to do it for tournaments. I think for single, $35 leagues, I don't think it's that important, but Burrow was there. His ADP was right. I like Burrow. The receivers were there, so it just kind of made sense. It was fun here, a little post draft stack.
we're getting into the range where we're going to have to start guessing whether running backs are going to get replaced. And I was actually looking at Myles Gaskin as an option for my next turn, but he just went off the board. I got to check and see who exactly took him. But it seemed like a good area to take Myles Gaskin. Round 805. He went to Modern Miracle SM is the team in our league that took him. That was right after Adam took Jerry Jeudy. Before that, as you mentioned, Irv Smith came off the board, Mike Gesicki. So it's getting into the area where you're probably not going to find a tight end that you actually like, and maybe it's grouping some together that you hope to steal tight end 1 weeks from and put all that together and make a starting tight end, but you're not going to find a weekly guy. Double Paw just took Trevor Lawrence off the board at 807. Before those guys I just mentioned, Jalen Waddle went at 801, Deebo Samuel on the other side of the turn, both of those players to Darkwing Ducks team. Mike Davis at the end around 7, right behind Raheem Mostert. Before that, Joe Burrow to Adam's team, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool back-to-back, Tyler Boyd right before that, Jalen Hurts at 705, Cortland Sutton, Robert Tonyan, Logan Thomas, and DJ Chark I started round 7 with. Last night was an interesting spot for Jalen Hurts owners, both people who already had him and were considering drafting him. I mean, when the Eagles moved up, it was like, are they getting a corner? No, those guys left. Do they want Devontae Smith? Or do they like Justin Fields? Did they make the move up to get him as he slid? Turned out it was for Devontae Smith. And, I mean, I don't think there's a bigger possible change in the outlook for Jalen Hurts than those two possibilities is, if they take Justin Fields, maybe Jalen Hurts is never a starter for the Eagles. They took Devontae Smith, all of a sudden, he has 2 high upside young wide receivers to work with.
Yeah, I had 5 friends out with me, and we play this little betting game where it's a couple bucks a pick, and you just try to get it right, and whoever does takes or splits the pot. And when Philadelphia made that move with Dallas, by the way, like I got scared because it seemed convincing that they were not going to do that with all the talk about the draft and all the speculation. But then for a moment there, I thought maybe they would. So I was right there with you. But Smith made perfect sense for their offense and for their team.
Yeah, that's the level that I expected Devontae Smith not to get past, whether it was the Eagles or somebody else. So I was certainly not surprised. It's interesting that they took him, given that Howie Roseman leans on analytics. You wonder how much of it was him and how much he allowed the coaches and scouts to make the decision. But it's a great landing spot for Devontae Smith because there's immediate opportunity. He could be as much as their wide receiver 1 this season. I mean, Jalen Reagor is a talented guy, but a little slow to begin with, and I don't know that he's more talented than Devontae Smith. I certainly think if you're betting between them, you got to consider Devontae Smith probably the bigger talent going in.
Yeah, I like Devontae Smith. We'll see how he fits there. I mean, Reagor didn't have a great year last year. I just think the whole Philly team was just a mess from top to bottom, and I think, I mean everybody but busted there. So hopefully, new coaching, new kind of positive energy there. We get everybody on the same page, and when you take a receiver like that early and add him with another first round pick from last year, that's exciting. So hopefully Hurts can get together with those guys and get some chemistry going before the season. Hopefully get a nice off season for all the teams to work together, and could be a good pick for them.
After the Mike Gesicki, Irv Smith picks, Adam took Jerry Jeudy, then Myles Gaskin, as I mentioned. Mike took Marquise Brown, stacking up those Ravens, taking that post-hype train after the Ravens got put down in Buffalo last year. Trevor Lawrence behind that, Tyler Higbee, Devontae Smith, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. Then the 8-9 turn for me, Evan Engram, Robbie Anderson, A.J. Dillon. Evan Engram I certainly liked more before the Giants added these pass catchers, Kenny Golladay, and then they drafted Kadarius Toney. But, I mean, at 8-12, I'm not even sure what number tight end he is off the board, but went after Tyler Higbee, Irv Smith, Mike Gesicki, and a bunch of other guys. I mean, 14. I'll take a shot on Evan Engram at this level.
Yeah, very interesting team right now, and they go wide receiver again last night. I don't know. Engram is a disappointment to me, but there's certainly talent. And if, at this point, like you said, it's probably worth a shot. I think Anderson is really interesting too. I mean, he had the big start last year for Carolina and then couldn't get in the end zone again, but he's been with Darnold. You got to love the coaching aspect for the Panthers. Samuel's gone, so I feel like Anderson is sneaky smart.
Yeah, the thing that was funny about Robbie Anderson last year is with the Jets, he was this downfield guy that was not super efficient on a catch rate basis, but big yardage and touchdowns on the receptions he did make. And he goes to Carolina, and Matt Rule said he's more than just a downfield guy. And all of a sudden, they turned Robbie Anderson into the short A-dot player. They made DJ Moore a downfield player. That made Robbie Anderson more efficient from a PPR standpoint, but he barely scored touchdowns, did not get the usual yardage. Does that change this year? Do they still view him that way? I expect that this year finds Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore kind of evening out in terms of their roles. There's plenty of room for both of them to produce, especially with Curtis Samuel gone. And, I mean, like you said, Mike, it certainly can't hurt that he has worked with the guy that is now Carolina's new quarterback.
Yep, I like him. I mean, you're seeing lots of wide receivers in these rounds, as usual, that it's not really crazy to see them being outstanding values. That's kind of how it goes, right? You get rounds 5 through 9 or 5 through 8, and there's just a lot of nice value. And I'm looking to add one more such guy here. And
you can especially find such players in FFPC because you only have to start 2. They're the 2 flex spots. We are playing FFPC in case anybody missed that before. So it's tight end premium, 1.5 points per reception for tight ends, regular PPR for everybody else. You start 2 wide receivers, you start 2 running backs, you start a tight end. There are 2 flex spots, 1 quarterback. So, Mike, tell us about the pick that you were excited about just now.
Curtis Samuel. Adam called it, I think.
I called it.
What's not to love?
Nothing. Not in the ninth round. It's a great pick.
Last year he was great. Year before he could have been great, but the quarterbacks they had were so bad. You see Twitter every day has got pictures of Curtis Samuel running wide open, separating, and passes missing. I mean, Fitzpatrick is no wallflower as a quarterback. He'll take his shots. And so I'm excited about their offense, and they paid Samuel. So the coordinators worked with them. I love it. I love all of it. I love the player. The situation went well, going to free agency. What's going to happen with certain guys? I like how it ended up for him.
Yeah, and it's I'm curious to see Curtis Samuel this year in Washington because he goes back to the staff that had him working downfield in Carolina a couple years ago. And it didn't work out, but as you mentioned, Kyle Allen was his most frequent quarterback that season. Kyle Allen is not the guy that you want throwing downfield passes to your wide receivers. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not a stud quarterback, but when you're comparing him to Kyle Allen, certainly a lot better there. So, I mean, do they shorten Curtis Samuel's work a little bit? I mean, that year stood out versus the rest of Curtis Samuel's career with the long A-dot versus mostly short stuff. I don't know that a lack of success that year means that they were using him wrong. It might have just been the wrong quarterback. Maybe they get back to that and it works out this time and he becomes an even more efficient fantasy scorer, in terms of racking up more yards, more touchdowns on the same level of targets. It's going to be very interesting to watch there in Washington.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I think he's talented. Like I said, they paid him, and he's shown he can score. He can do the things that they're probably going to want him to do. So, yeah, that's a great pick there. Browns. Yeah, I think I'm on the clock now.
Adam on the clock in round 10, so we'll check back over round 9. After Robbie Anderson went, A.J. Dillon at 9-2, Matt Ryan at 9-3, Jonnu Smith to Kevin's team at 9-4. Kevin was a big Jonnu Smith fan in Tennessee. I'm sure he's disappointed. Actually, I know for a fact that he's disappointed that Jonnu Smith is in New England with Hunter Henry now. That necessarily caps his ceiling. But at least he got a better passing quarterback, I guess, than Mac Jones versus Cam Newton at this point. Ryan Tannehill right after that, Laviska Shenault, Curtis Samuel, as we mentioned to Mike's team, Will Fuller at 9:08, late enough to take a shot on him. Tony Pollard, Damian Harris, Naheem Hines, and Ronald Jones closed out round 9 as everybody takes the shrug, I need a running back, this is who's on the board players. Adam, any strong feelings on Tony Pollard? I know he's the backup, but is there anything that you're hoping for from him?
Yeah, tell Leone to look away because I asked him specifically the other night on the podcast, like if I take – Zeke Elliott, should I stay away from Tony Pollard? He says yes in best ball. So, but I don't care. I think that Pollard is one of the few handcuffs that can be just as good or almost as good as a starter. So he's proven that he can do that. So I have Zeke. I'll handcuff him with Pollard and hopefully lock in a top 5 running back there no matter what, unless they both get hurt. So that's kind of the way I look at it there. I was looking for kind of a better tight end. That guy kind of went. A couple guys I wanted went, so I figured I'd just play it safe, take Pollard, and secure that RB1 spot.
Yeah, I can definitely understand the don't handcuff your running backs thing. And in general, I definitely subscribe to it. But I agree that Tony Pollard's one of the few guys that I'm comfy with taking, because if Zeke Elliott stays healthy all year and you don't get anything from Pollard, that means Zeke Elliott delivered on where you drafted him. And it's not like Pollard's your second or third running back. So I'm good with that. And then if Elliott does go down, I agree. Pollard's one of the few that looks capable of performing at the same level in terms of fantasy production. And I think more importantly than the talent of the player himself, it's just a situation that you want pieces of, because Dallas should be a terrific offense unless Dak Prescott's ankle is just in awful shape this year. And the fact that they re-signed him for that big contract says to me they expect Dak Prescott to be very close to the regular Dak Prescott.
Exactly.
I would have taken Pollard if Samuel had been picked. Of course, that's not a handcuff situation for me, but I feel like Pollard has shown he's a better player than Elliott. And maybe with Prescott back and the season goes a certain way where they just want to do more with him, I don't know, that assumes that they'll know what they're doing. And a lot of times teams let you down in that way. But another injury with Elliott's age, I like Pollard a lot in these.
I just got sniped on Jeff Wilson, I have to admit. I had him queued up, hoping to get him. Not a killer. I took David Johnson with him gone. Getting to the point where I need to fill in running back, but I'm not going to let you jerks pressure me into it either. I'm going to do it on my own terms. We're on the other side of the 10-11 turn. Looking at a rookie and a second-year guy, and I think I'm going to have to take a shot on
Mike, what do you think? While Matt's figuring it out, Mike, what do you think about Antonio Brown now in the 10th round? Do you think that's where he kind of settles in now that he's signed with the Bucs?
Is that where his average draft position is? Is that where Mojo?
I got to be honest, I'm not sure. I don't think he's gone that high.
I got him at around round 13. So that's what you're asking. I don't love him. But he did. I heard a stat about how he had more targets per game or something per game than their other guys last year. But I don't need Antonio Brown. He's at best their third option, maybe fourth or fifth. I don't know. I feel like Gallup is a better idea. Rager might be a better idea. Mike Williams.
Yeah. There probably are some better options as far as just targets over the course of the year. But Brown might have some pop weeks. I mean, he didn't really have a preseason with them last year. But there's probably some more target options there for sure.
It's okay. Did he have any big games?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think he had any monsters.
No one did. They were just
right.
Godwin for 5 or 6, Evans for a touchdown. They were pretty balanced as I remember it. I'm not looking at their stats, but just felt like consistent, but hardly ever did you have one guy. Godwin had the game in Detroit late in the year where he went off. But there's a floor team.
So yeah, speaking of Godwin and Evans, I feel like it's a stack I've seen quite often. Is it the 4-5 turn where people have been taking Godwin and Evans? I like that stack a lot to be able to get those two guys in that spot. And then you can also stack them with Brady a little later on. So I feel like they've both been going at that. It's either the 4-5 or the 5-6 turn there. I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I think that there have been opportunities to stack, a number of the Bucs guys at this point. Tom Brady's been going late enough that he's an attractive stack. You can take either Evans or Godwin or both of them and later take Brady. I think most of us were assuming Antonio Brown would eventually wind up with the Bucs. I know I did that stack a little bit earlier. I think this is a range where it's just fine to take Antonio Brown. The fact that they brought him back at all says that they at least like him to some degree. And as you mentioned, Mike, it does get spread around enough that there are going to be good weeks from all those guys. So I don't have a problem with Antonio Brown anywhere in this range. At my second pick there, I was I was waffling between Trey Sermon and Zach Moss. And if we did this draft a day later and I knew whether the Bills were taking a running back in round 2 or round 3, my pick might be different. I took a shot on Trey Sermon. I'm hoping that he does not land somewhere behind an established running back at this point. If he goes to one of those good situations on day 2 here, I'm going to be celebrating. I saw that Kevin took Zach Moss after I took Trey Sermon. So at least if I ended up making the wrong choice there, I don't know, I can punch Kevin in the arm and feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, landing spots, everything. We're going to learn a lot tonight. I took Michael Carter earlier. Same kind, different player, but same sort of premise. Just you got to get lucky. On one of our deep end shows, we had Jay Moyer on, who loves Carter. I teed him up for a question about which of the obvious names is his running back one. He's like, actually, none of them. Carter was his favorite, and then we riffed a little bit on ideal landing spots. And Denver was an idea, a team that has somebody in position, but that there's room to move in on them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what you're getting. Once you get past Javonte Williams in the running back class among rookies, I think that's kind of what you're facing. So which one you take, it's just mostly a guess.
Michael Carter in Denver would be like discount Travis Etienne in Jacksonville, because just like in Jacksonville, there's, backfield mates that are fine, but that you could prove to be better than. There's a bunch of receivers who are going to get the ball, but the ball is going to get spread around. So yeah, that would be a nice landing spot for Michael Carter.
Exactly. And no first round draft pick pressure.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure on the team to use the player, on the player to excel. Carter is maybe round 3. I would hope for that, actually. I don't think he needs to be second round, but I wouldn't want to see him slip to Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the start of round 10, we had Kenyan Drake go at 10:01, which is a fine range to take Kenyan Drake. I don't know what his role is going to look like. I'm very curious to see what John Gruden has in mind for him, because that was a signing that did not make any sense. Josh Jacobs could tear his Achilles tomorrow, and they still overpaid for Kenyan Drake. But, that's kind of aside at this point. Kenneth Gainwell right after that. I really like Kenneth Gainwell. Landing spot's going to matter for him for touch upside. Michael Gallup, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron went after that. I probably should have taken Eric Ebron before he got to that point, but, oh well. Michael Carter to Mike's team, Cole Kmet, Brandon Cooks. That's probably too late for Brandon Cooks at 10:08. Certainly FFPC pushes down wide receiver value, and we don't know who the quarterback's going to be in Houston yet, but Brandon Cooks is going to be the number 1 wide receiver for whoever is throwing passes. Should be in line for 130-plus targets. We'll see how efficient they are, but good spot for volume at the very least. Michael Pittman, Antonio Brown, Jeffrey Wilson at 10:11, David Johnson, Trey Sermon around the turn. And David Johnson, I was planning to take Jeff Wilson, David Johnson at those 2 picks. So I mentioned Wilson got sniped. David Johnson, though, I was way off on meaning not drafting David Johnson at all last year. And I feel good about that decision now. At this point, though, he's in the exact same situation in terms of work. I think his competition is worse than it was when Duke Johnson was the number 2 running back last year, and yet nobody wants shares of David Johnson at this point. We're at the end of round 10 here.
Yeah, no, David Johnson isn't super exciting, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that backfield kind of pans out there. I absolutely, you brought up the tight ends that got taken. I absolutely hate my tight end core. It's just awful. Yeah, every time I had 1 or 2 targeted, they would get taken right in front of me. So hopefully Hunter Henry can carve out a role there. They signed him in free agency and hopefully have a plan for him. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, my tight ends are gross.
Adam on the clock now, and you can hear in his voice, it's like the Bills just took a 3rd round center at the end of round 1. He's just subdued because he can't find any exciting rookie wide receivers on the board anymore because he already took all of them.
That's right.
Kind of wallowed.
He didn't take all of them.
Drown his sorrows in a Gabe Davis pick in round 12. Adam, how do you feel about that?
I love it. I just Gabe, as long as the Bills don't take a receiver. Now, as a fan, I would like them to take a receiver, but if they don't, I like Gabe Davis in the 12th round, catching passes from Josh Allen.
Is my pick in? Did it go through?
I haven't seen it come across yet, so Mike is on the clock now.
I think it's probably the Ravens receiver if he's still.
He went.
Bateman. Is it Bateman? Oh, okay.
So the next one, then you could take Sammy Watkins at this point. He's available.
I'm trying to take Elijah Moore. I'm excited about him tonight.
Yes.
My
And
draft is
that betting game we played last night, I'm
I
trying there.
I wonder if Green Bay didn't take Elijah Moore last night just to send one last middle finger in the direction of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Okay, we know you're angry, so we're going to piss you off further by taking a cornerback. That's what you were hoping for, right?
I know. I started to say that in that betting game last night, I picked Elijah Moore a lot. I thought there were a lot of good spots there for him, even the Bills. But, that was a little greedy, I guess. But nobody. And same thought on Green Bay. What is Green Bay going to do? They're going to take I think that was a great idea for Green Bay, but they, of course, went for a corner.
Yeah, as soon as the Aaron Rodgers stuff was coming up, I jumped on and placed a bet on the Packers to take an offensive player. That was the sucker bet of the evening. Mortgage next month. I'm gonna have to figure it out.
It just seemed like such. I don't know. It seemed like such a gimme, especially if you're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers. This is a way to maybe assuage him and maybe not. I mean, he seems. I've never met Aaron Rodgers. He seems fairly self-centered, where I don't think that drafting a wide receiver is going to make him happy all of a sudden. But it couldn't hurt to give him somebody else to throw the ball to. But did not take that opportunity. Took a corner. I don't know. I guess we'll see where things go there. It's back to my turn. I've got a running back that I was considering last turn. Let me just check to make sure. Yep. I think it's a good time to take Gus Edwards. Just to make sure that Mike didn't take him next time, because we know he feels about Ravens the way that Mike Mayock feels about Clemson players. I'm going to take Rob Gronkowski around the turn to be my second tight end. Rob Gronkowski finished last season quietly. He was doing a lot of blocking, not as many targets. But, I was wondering if he was going to retire after that season. Decided not to. He's back there in Tampa Bay, still in a good spot to at least catch touchdowns. I don't know. We'll see. But he's going later than I would have anticipated after solidifying that he's returning for this season.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Does OJ Howard have life? That team, so many guys. Still other running backs to talk about, and we mentioned Antonio Brown. There's Tyler Johnson. There's just
I think there's life to OJ Howard long term still. I also think that it sure seems like Bruce Arians is not a huge fan, because even before Rob Gronkowski season, it was OJ Howard letting him down on game days and him saying, I don't know what the problem is. He looks good in practice when we get to the games, and he stinks. Not in those exact words, but basically in those terms. So it's tough for me to imagine OJ Howard claiming a lot this year. I'm betting on him long term. I think if you're playing Dynasty, OJ Howard's a good buy right now, because he's going to be around the league longer than Bruce Arians, whether it's in Tampa Bay or elsewhere. He's about to hit his second contract. So if the Bucs give up on him, he's got a chance to go somewhere else and still deliver on that athletic promise.
I've breaking news. Jared Smola says that that Gronk was out targeted, he thinks, by OJ Howard when they were both healthy last year. So that's just a little piece of info there.
I guess we'll see where it goes this season. But isn't it an Achilles tear that OJ Howard's coming off of?
Yeah, probably.
I think, probably.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But certainly round 13, I'll take what I get from him. Some okay tight ends left on the board. It's getting a little skimpy there, and those, of course, matter a lot in FFPC. Quarterbacks, lots of those coming off the board. We'll recap a little bit as we get past Mike's pick here in round 13. So just to go back a little bit, we have, let's see, so Kirk Cousins late in round 11 came off the board right after Gerald Everett at tight end. There is somebody with some upside. To Adam's team, Adam, do you feel any better about your tight ends after taking Gerald Everett, or was that the pick that made you say, "Ugh, I don't even like what's left"?
Yeah, I made Gerald Everett before I told you how much I hated my tight ends. It's gotten worse and worse. Although I'm Howard now that I got that little tidbit from Smola.
There you go. Feel free to go ahead and take him. I'll allow it. Kirk Cousins after him, Baker Mayfield, J.D. McKissick, Denzel Mims, Rashad Bateman, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Austin Hooper, Elijah Moore, Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay, I started out, once he signed in Houston, I started out thinking, maybe he outperforms David Johnson this year. Then I went back and looked at the efficiency stuff, not the traditional numbers, but the advanced metrics kind of stuff. He did not outperform David Johnson in any of them last year. Phillip Lindsay was actually disappointing from an efficiency standpoint. And I think that's probably why they didn't bring him back in Denver and instead opted to sign Mike Boone and let Phillip Lindsay go. So, I mean, there's room for Phillip Lindsay to be the more productive running back, but I don't think it's likely at this point unless David Johnson gets hurt.
Lindsay is just another one of those guys where the team did not have enough invested for it to really – the wrong team, like I think Buffalo used to be and Jacksonville is. Denver, a team without much invested, just could not bring itself to accept what it had in a good player. And so he never was sort of given the job. Then they bring in Melvin Gordon in their way. And now Houston, I mean, they signed him, but they have other guys like you're saying. And I don't know what kind of commitment that represents. So I think of him as somebody good, given allowing for what you said in terms of the stats. I think Lindsay's done well for his career, but teams don't love him. His teams have just not loved him like they need to for him to be a huge hit in fantasy.
Yeah, I think we're past the point of Phillip Lindsay being likely to rebound from, his slide after the rookie season that shocked everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So looking beyond those picks, we stopped at Phillip Lindsay. Then Jalen Reagor went late in round 12. I know he's a favorite of Kevin's, a favorite of mine in these early best ball drafts because there's plenty of upside. Probably going to fall even a little bit from an ADP just outside the top 50 wideouts now that they had Devontae Smith on hand. Adam Troutman to Kevin's team, then Zach Ertz, Darnell Mooney, Gus Edwards to my team, as I mentioned, Rob Gronkowski, T.Y. Hilton, Alexander Madison, another one of those handcuff types. And Adam, that's your buddy Vooch, Sam Gallo. Was he the Dalvin Cook drafter back in round 1? Is that another example of handcuffing the backup to a starter?
Yeah, that was him. Exactly. Yep.
There you go. So Adam and his buddy both bucking the trend, pushing aside analytics guys that say, do not draft your handcuff and saying, shut up, nerd. I'm taking him anyway.
Get him out of the way.
That's sure to work. That's sure to work. Shut up, nerd is always sure to work.
That's right. Alpha males in this draft room only. Okay.
It has such a great track record of success. Look at how sports is trending. Definitely trending away from the nerds and the quants. Teams are just getting rid of those guys.
No, not mine. I never see
every day a new story about some Ivy League guy getting fired so they can hire a sports writer.
That's right.
And then there go Adam and Sam down the road in a van chanting, O'Doyle rules! O'Doyle rules! So after Alexander Madison, we had Daniel Jones, who's got a whole bunch of new weapons. You know what? Daniel Jones should be calling Aaron Rodgers and giggling right now and hanging up. He's like, look, my team cares about me. Look who they signed. They gave me this guy and this guy. After Daniel Jones, Blake Jarwin, Carson Wentz, Trey Lance, Latavius Murray, Cole Beasley, Terrace Marshall, Jared Cook, and then my godson Justin Fields finally went at 13-12. Honestly, I had a hard time passing on him last turn. Justin Fields, I think, has immediate upside regardless of situation.
Well,
rushing upside definitely, and hopefully he gets the starting job there sooner rather than later.
Very interesting quarterback stretch in that round. I was ready to take Jones. I like Jones a lot as a quarterback too. A lot of potential there. And then Wentz, who I've never liked, but I was sort of thinking I would do that. And, of course, Watson. Now Watson is picked by Adam, so we can talk about him. Like, just unbelievable names you see picked before Watson. I don't know. Does he play half a season? Does he play for Denver still? Does he play for a different team? Who knows? But just the way that has played out. But I couldn't do it. There's always someone else you can take. Like if you just don't know if the guy's going to be on the field. So that led me to Lance. I think it's early for Lance, but you got to love the opportunity he's got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Watson, I mean, in the 14th round, right, of a $35 best ball, I'll probably do that every single time. But it kind of forces me to take a third QB, which isn't ideal in a best ball slim. Whatever. Because if Watson plays, it's obviously a 6 or 7 rounds worth of value there or more. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I should probably mention this is a best ball slim. It's not one of those 28-round monsters. It probably would have been, but then Adam was setting it up and was like, oh, crap, if we go 28 rounds, Matt's going to kick my butt because those rounds, beyond round 18, those late rounds are where the prep really kills you. But it's a best ball slim here, so it's 18 rounds, and we don't see guys like Travis Fulgham getting picked.
That's right. 28 rounds are for nerds, Matt. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It'll never catch on. No. Plus, I'm on the air at 3, so I didn't have 48 rounds in me, I think. I don't know if that was considered, but I appreciate it if it was.
It was considered. Yes, it was.
It was the Mike Shope, what fits into your daily schedule league on FFPC.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, so it's my turn around the 14-15 turn. I did finally take my second quarterback. I went with Derek Carr over Ben Roethlisberger. Could have gone either way, frankly, but I hate Ben Roethlisberger, so that's the tiebreaker for me. And then Marvin Jones. Again, I could have taken some other wide receiver there, but I figured Marvin Jones stacking with DJ Chark is the way to go at that point as a tiebreaker. If DJ Chark goes down, Marvin Jones is a similar guy in that he's got the downfield upside. Obviously, everybody there is helped now by Trevor Lawrence, but really that chance, that's kind of like the handcuff with the running backs. But in this case, I don't need one of those guys to get hurt for numbers to come in any given week.
I like the Marvin Jones pick a lot. That's when I was running through Jacksonville earlier. I just forgot that they did that. But just a very consistently solid contributor in fantasy, and I don't think his landing spot is a problem really.
Yeah, that's one of those moves that's easy to forget, given the offseason overall and given all of the things going on in Jacksonville that you want to talk about, especially after the Travis Etienne draft pick. You're like, oh yeah, Marvin Jones landed there. Yeah, I think it's similar to Tampa Bay's situation last year in that there's room for each of those top 3 receivers to be the guy that scores points in that given week. At the very least, I'll take Marvin Jones for those 2 weeks a year where he scores 3 touchdowns and goes for 200 yards and then does nothing the rest of the season.
You just don't want that to be week 17 like it was last year.
Okay. Although at least this year I'll get week 17, and as long as he doesn't do it in week 18.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
So we are into round 15 here. We're halfway through round 15. After Derek Carr, Marvin Jones, Josh Reynolds went, Ben Roethlisberger, Sam Darnold, Rondale Moore, who does not have a home yet. We'll see about round 2 for him. Curious to see whether Rondale Moore is a round 2 or round 3 pick. Paris Campbell, Mike took Mecole Hardman. That's the other guy I was weighing against Marvin Jones. There's only upside to Mecole Hardman at this point in the draft, right, Mike?
Feels right. We'll see if they add somebody. They tried Kansas City. That was curious. People seem to get it when some of those receiver names didn't join the Ravens, but Juju also spurned the Chiefs. Like they were trying to add there too. Maybe that's a team that does something like that tonight. But, Hardman, just a choppy start to his career, but you said flashed. I mean, there's definitely useful speed. He was important in the AFC Championship game. So, I think he's nice late in these. I think he's nice.
Yeah, I mean, really at the point where you draft him this year, there's only upside. If he continues on the path he's been, it doesn't hurt you. At the very least, he's going to give you a couple of good weeks. The fact that they were going after wideouts this offseason has me thinking that the Chiefs are disappointed in Mecole Hardman's development to this point. Assuming that they thought that he was going to turn into a regular wide receiver. Maybe they just thought, we got a guy that can return kicks. He will give us something as a wide receiver. Maybe he's not ever going to be a starter, or maybe it'll take a while for him to be a starter. I guess we'll see the development. But yeah, the thing you like about a player like that is that at the very least, he has that upside to have a 4-catch for 120 yards and a touchdown game in, a couple times a year.
Yes. I mean, they're not deep. We talked a lot about Edwards-Helaire and that draft pick here in Buffalo with the draft coming up and whether the Bills would draft Etienne. They ultimately didn't get the chance to without having traded up. And, the Edwards-Helaire pick was so popular and it seemed to make so much sense. But look at what Kansas City was at wideout through the playoffs. I mean, Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson and Hardman, like they could have – look at the receivers who were picked in the second, third round last year. They definitely, in hindsight, probably would have been better off that way. So, I mean, teams that are good at wide receiver and they look deep, I don't think you can be deep enough. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the Chiefs, if they add somebody, I don't think that has to squeeze out Hardman, but you have to cross your fingers because of what you said about, whether they're sort of down on him at this point. It's a good question.
Yeah, even if it keeps him in the role he's been in, though, he can still help you in this kind of format. You know, you definitely love it when you don't have to decide when to start Mecole Hardman because he doesn't seem like he's going to be that kind of player yet.
Yeah.
Adam passed on O.J. Howard in round 15 for the Emmanuel Sanders to Gabe Davis stack. Adam, is that the thinking, stacking Emmanuel Sanders with Gabe Davis?
Whoa. Don't disrespect me easily. I got all three of them, baby. Okay? Got all three of them. Now, I will admit, Emmanuel Sanders, it timed out because the draft room was acting up. But I had him in my queue just in case. So 3 Bills receivers on this team. Don't hate that at all. So right now I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Christopher Herndon to add to my disgusting tight end crew.
There's no disrespect toward Cole Beasley from here. I think he does that to himself a little bit when he does the man bun when he comes off the field in between drives. But no disrespect for him as a player. He's fun to watch. And, I mean, certainly after the year they just had, it makes sense to take fairly low-risk shots on members of that pass-catching corps.
That's right.
Speaking of low risk, Jamison Crowder just came off the board in the middle of round 16, right after Chris Herndon. I haven't done as many FFPC drafts as other places. I know the wide receivers get pushed down, but Adam, do you know if this is kind of where we expect to see Jamison Crowder go, or if this is late for him?
I think this is a little late for him, but I was huge on Jamison Crowder last year, and I think he definitely hit. But he had that good rapport with the quarterback, with Darnold there, and Gase loved throwing him the ball all the time. So I think with a new quarterback and a new O coordinator and all that, there's too much question. There's too many questions there. But again, I mean, he could still be the best receiver there. So I think he's certainly worth a shot here in the 16th round.
Yeah, I would expect the target share to come down some after they paid Corey Davis, and with Denzel Mims heading into year 2, and we would hope healthier than he was as a rookie. But still, I mean, I think we have to head into the season expecting Jamison Crowder to be the lead target there. So we'll see where it goes. At the very least, he's a value option right now. Mike, I think we just got your pick in round 16 as well, and it's Damian Williams. So what is it that keeps drawing you to Damian Williams?
That's the right question. Maybe, he's been good. They have Cohen, who's coming off an injury, but they still went and did that. A lot of teams, saying that, like a lot of teams made those sort of running back signings. Maybe Matt Breida is that in Buffalo. Maybe Gio Bernard is that in Tampa. We're like, let's just see what happens in the draft. We'll add somebody on the cheap and give ourselves a little bit of insurance. But, Williams has done things in the league. And also, maybe it's a new Chicago with Fields. Like, that was a very non-Chicago Bears kind of move. I mean, I think he gets on the field. That's what happens with rookies. I'm one of the many voices that feel like Fields was undervalued in this draft, maybe quarterback 2. And so the coach and the staff there had a good reputation before they got there for running offense. It's a bet on Williams to become some sort of a useful part of that at a stage of this draft when it's really just like rookie dart throws otherwise.
Yeah, there's certainly nothing – there's no downside to taking a shot on him at this point. My concern is that they gave him a contract that doesn't guarantee he makes the regular season roster. There's not a whole lot of guaranteed money. I think it's less than $100,000. So, I mean – if he makes the regular season roster, he's in a good spot with Tariq Cohen's injury that he's rebounding from in particular. So, we'll see where it goes. There's upside from a handcuff type of standpoint. I'll be curious to see how things work out there. And I mean, I love Justin Fields, so his arrival certainly didn't hurt anybody there. I'm up at the 16-17 turn. Started with John Brown. I was kind of surprised to still see him there. I kind of forgot to look for him, but especially after taking Derek Carr, I'll take the guy who could lead that team in targets. Nobody I love with the second pick, so I think I'm just going to round out at tight end and take somebody with some upside. Dan Arnold I'm not excited about, but as a third tight end, they signed him for pretty solid money for Dan Arnold, given that he hasn't done a whole lot. He does have some history with the coaching staff there. So, we'll see. I'm assuming that at least they have a bigger plan for him than they had for Ian Thomas last year, who barely did anything.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, have you seen Dan Arnold be a target? I know there are some, at least pockets of Dan Arnold, I don't know, fans out there. Have you seen him be a consistent late round target in FFPC best balls?
Honestly, he usually goes, he's usually one of those guys that kind of goes at the end of the draft. It really just depends on, and he definitely goes regular best balls, right? So this is a slim, so he might not get drafted all the time in the slims. Mm-hmm. But when you get a 28-round draft, I think every starting tight end or borderline starting tight end is going to get drafted. So, yeah, at this point in the offseason, take a shot at Arnold. He's athletic, they just got to get him more involved in the passing game there. But, yeah, at this point, you're just taking guys that you have kind of gut feelings about. But, yeah, third tight end, I don't think it's going to make you or break you.
Everybody's staying away from Hayden Hurst to this point, by the way, after Kyle Pitts got drafted last night. I mean, Hayden Hurst didn't start out draft season as an exciting option. I thought early when there was no Kyle Pitts in the picture, I was surprised at how late he was going. Now, I mean, I wonder if Hayden Hurst is just going to fall to the 200s in terms of ADP and just not normally get drafted. Right now, he's, I don't know, I can't even do the math that quick, but probably 100 spots. Yeah, not 100, but like at least 80 spots beyond the ADP that he's listed at.
Yeah, I think it's because, too, he busted last year. He had high expectations going into a passing game that made Austin Hooper like a top 3 tight end the year before. And so, yeah, I just think the combination of him busting and them expecting the rookie to be, a Hall of Fame to tight end, I think that's what's pushed him down here. And he'll probably start going a little bit higher once the dust settles on the situation, but yeah, I think he's going to drop significantly.
In the middle of round 16, we had Treikwan Smith pick. I thought that Jared wasn't involved in this draft, and maybe he's just drafting under a pseudonym there because I think Jared Smola is the one who picks Treikwan Smith all the time. Normally the Chris Herndon drafter too, but Adam stepped in that role here just because he's ready to scoop up everybody's disappointing tight ends. Any picks stand out to you guys in round 16? We had Treikwan Smith, AJ Green, Alan Lazard, Gio Bernard. It's not exciting time, but anything jump out for any reason?
AJ Green is a great discussion every time. Like there is some chance that he still got it, and there's some chance that it's over. At times, last couple of years, I mean, he wasn't on the field a lot, but it looked more like it was over. But you can like the quarterback, and maybe in a different role, he can be useful. So he's always a good discussion. I have no real appetite for him in these drafts, but once in a while, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Was Kevin the Derrick Henry drafter back in round 1? No, he's Saquon Barkley. So he didn't say, shut up, nerds, and take the handcuff. He took somebody else's handcuff in case he took Darrington Evans just now, which is why I'm talking about him. Did not to handcuff to Derrick Henry, but just in case Derrick Henry goes down. I want to see if Tennessee is one of the teams that's in a market for a running back over the next couple rounds. Because if Derrick Henry does go down, I don't think Darrington Evans is a 16 to 20 touch per game guy.
Nope.
Yeah, there was really no evidence of anything his rookie year, right? You're sort of leaning on, right, Matt, sort of what his profile was when he was drafted a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think at this stage, it makes sense because right now he is the second back in Tennessee. They liked him. I think they took him in round 3, so clearly they liked him. And he's the style of player that should be able to complement Derrick Henry. Didn't happen last year. Some of it was injury. I wasn't the biggest Darrington Evans fan going into last year's draft, but, there is opportunity again. We're talking about round 17, 18. There's really only upside from here. It's not going to kill you if it doesn't work out. Adam got back to rookies here, by the way. Who'd you find? Kylan Hill in round 17, and then that was 2 picks after Mike took Nico Collins. So I guess first, Mike, are you a Nico Collins fan, or did you just look around and think you liked his upside versus what else was there wide out?
No, I mean, when it comes to rookies, especially before we know where they are, I'll usually defer to guys I read and trust, and that includes you guys and a guy I feel that way about at RotoWire, Mario Puig, and I've read a lot of smart Nico Collins is actually good, press. So now what we need is for some team to think that, and for him to get drafted tonight, which is not a given. I think there's a lot of wide receiver options, but that's the play there.
Yeah, and Nico Collins is a guy that has come up lately over and over, just I don't know, in what I've been paying attention to. Jared likes him, thinks he's a potential sleeper. Then we had Rich Rebar on the show, and he singled out Nico Collins as an upside guy at that range. And it sounds like not only is Nico Collins likely to go tonight, it seems like, but maybe he goes in round 2. It seems like at this point I wouldn't be shocked if he sneaks into round 2, and that would certainly be a nice spot for the likelihood of him seeing early opportunities.
I'd love it. Love to see it.
Adam, what are you hoping for from Kylan Hill here? And he goes to the Bengals?
I have no clue. I don't know anything about Kylan Hill. Like Mike said, I went to draftsharks.com and I said, who's the next? I would rather take a rookie that, we don't know anything about in the NFL yet. We don't know a landing spot, nothing like that. Rather take a flyer on something like that rather than, a running back in the league for a while and kind of know his upside's capped. So took Kylan Hill. I needed another running back. I think I only had 4. So that gives me 5. And then I rounded it off with a quarterback. And I took Jared Goff because I needed another body in case Deshaun Watson doesn't play. So
Adam, I feel like I can hear in your tone how you feel about your team as you finish up the draft. But I feel like I should ask, as a journalist, how do you feel about your team? How do you feel about the execution of your team?
Man, there's some stuff I love. Like I love the Bengals stack. I love the Bills stack. I didn't mean to go that heavy on the Bills stack, Emmanuel Sanders, but yeah, I mean, I like my top the top of my running back board here, but yeah, Kylan Hill, I don't know much about. Travis Etienne is a guy that could make or break the team, right? So if he ends up having a nice role there, getting 12 carries, getting 6 targets a game there, I think my draft really relies on him. And if Deshaun Watson plays in the 14th round, to have him kind of show out would be awesome. I'm a little surprised that Jerry Jeudy, I keep getting him in the 8th round of drafts. We didn't get a chance to talk about him in this pod, but maybe we'll talk about him next time. But Jeudy, I feel like in the 8th round is kind of undervalued. I know Bridgewater and Locker, they're competing, but I think Jeudy can take the next step this year.
Yeah,
last night for about an hour, he seemed really undervalued.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, how about your team? Because we have your team completed as well. How do you feel about what you built?
Well, at this point, I feel like I know the ranges for players and the maybe the next level for me after last year getting my feet wet with drafts like the Draft Sharks Invitational and others, playing against a lot of good competition is, all right, now I need to be tighter when it comes to how many players per position and more just like structure. And we talked to Mike Leone on the deep end the other night, and there's an axiom that I just really want to make sure I never lose sight of, which is you have to assume success in certain areas. Like to win at these, it's easy to sort of pile up running backs thinking like, well, what if this guy gets hurt, handcuffs and all the rest? But I drafted Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb, and if they're not great, I won't win. So I don't want to waste too much energy trying to figure out what I'm going to do if I lose Jonathan Taylor or Nick Chubb. Like those are my studs. And then, you sort of get freed up to do more interesting things at wide receiver. Obviously, I have a lot of Baltimore on this team. I don't hate it. I'm willing to take that chance. The price is right. Watkins at the end. I don't know. I mean, a couple of times here I tried to sort of get a rise out of you guys. But I think like structure is important. I'm going with 2 quarterbacks. I'm going with 2 tight ends and piling up wide receivers, hoping to string together 3 or 4 good games a week.
That's, I think, one of the key differences to best ball now that we're doing more of that and not just traditional things where you have a team or 2 or 3 and you're drafting every team as though, it's the title team that you want to put together. You have to know that some of these teams are going to lose, and you don't say, "Oh, what do I get to fortify this position?" As you said, Mike, it's if that guy doesn't work out, then this team is trash, and I hope that my other teams just make up for it. So, it's a different mindset. It's one I have had trouble with at times, but this is a fun draft. I ended up with 2 quarterbacks as well. Went 3 tight ends. I closed out with an 8th wide receiver. Took Anthony Miller at the end, who could be a trade guy over the next couple of days. We'll see if he's in Chicago. If he does stay in Chicago, Justin Fields improves his situation. But if he goes elsewhere, I think there's a chance that he lands in a good spot. 5 running backs. I don't love the group there, but if I get Christian McCaffrey staying healthy, I don't really need all that much out of the rest of those 4 guys.
Right. And if he doesn't, you'll get beat like last year, right? I mean, that's just how it goes. So really fun to do, especially draft weekend. This would be fun to do again Sunday after everything changes in the next 2 days. Just more new information. I'm looking forward to Sunday so I can just sort of rank everybody finally. Like rookie drafts and super flex drafts. What are you supposed to think is coming other than Trevor Lawrence and whoever, like Kyle Pitts? Almost doesn't matter where he went, but now there's some clarity. There'll be a lot more tonight that I look forward to sorting that out.
Yes, we got some answers. We're all looking forward to getting the rest of them. Adam Krautwurst, Mike Shope, thank you for joining me in the draft and on air for this. Thank you all for watching. We will be thank you for listening, assuming that you're listening to this after the fact on audio. I will post this as a podcast. So you can find us on Twitter. We are at Draft Sharks. I am at ShoupDS. Mike is at Shope Talk. That's SCHOPP Talk. Adam is at Adam_Krautwurst. We will be following night 2 of the draft as well and day 3 through rounds 2 and 3. Check the Shark Bite section. Follow the instant reactions there. Jared and I will certainly be reacting to stuff as well with more videos and podcasts. So that's going to do it for me and the rest of the Draft Sharks crew. I'm Matt Schauf saying thanks so much for drafting with us.